So, good morning, Miss Cornell, and to whoever else is probably maybe watching it, apart from Miss Cornell, even though it would only be Miss Cornell watching this. I am going to now be wrapping up all of the vlogs on the theory of knowledge. So I decided to show my face in this one because since it's a final one, so okay, getting to the meat of the matter. So the last topic that we discussed in class was epistemology in retrospect. So then Miss Connell first began by divulging into epistemology being linked to metaphysics. So we know metaphysics means after physics. It is metaphysics is studying a realm beyond physics, beyond the physical world, which would be the existence of a supreme being, time and space, cause and effect, and so forth. So metaphysics is a branch of philosophy and epistemology. It also enables us to understand or explain the nature of the world and existence. However, Heidegger stated that the characteristic of metaphysics is twofold. Metaphysical questions takes into consideration the whole problem of metaphysics within the context of the questioner. The mental state of the questioner is looked into. So as I said, the existence of a supreme being is actually very subjective. So it kind of depends on the personal belief of the individual. So the lack of understanding about the essential nature of personal existence is from when all of humanity's problems arise. So we always ask the question, what exists? The attention is turned almost automatically to things which lie outside the realm where the question is originated, hence metaphysics. It is only through a deliberate and conscious effort that one is able to turn their attention to the perceived place or realm from where the question itself originated, which is the mind and body. So there are philosophers who believe in a metaphysical phenomena, and there's others who just believe in empiricism and rationalism. We just get our knowledge from empiricism, or we get our knowledge from rationalism, nothing beyond that. However, are there objective truths which are to be found outside of the mind? So like, for example, I am perceiving my laptop right in front of me, right in front of my eyes. But then but phenomenalism would state that I'm only perceiving the appearance of the laptop, but I'm not actually experiencing the actual laptop, which is the thing in itself. That thing in itself is a metaphysical phenomena. It is beyond my sense perception. Then phenomenologists would argue that the mind forms the basic human existence, because the mind is a conscious thing. Metaphysics is an effort to think clearly. Most people do not make any effort to think about the meaning and purpose of life, more so concerned with the need to survive. It is stated that metaphysics may be arbitrary. Why is there something rather than nothing? What exists? How does it exist? Unless otherwise proven, these questions were not a deliberate effort to develop an ontology of being. It was a result of a random recognition of self, followed by the realization that this self is related to the world. The truth about the existence of things lies at the level of correspondence. There is a question of how it is possible to refer to that which does not exist. One cannot have knowledge of nothing. However, how can we However, if the metaphysical realm does not exist and appearances rely on something metaphysical, how can we have knowledge of the appearances if it is connected to something that doesn't exist? That was actually a critique of phenomenalism. We seek the truth about being and existence. First, we have to ask what truth is. Plato in ancient times saw that truth was a constant, unattainable thing. It's only in the transcendental realm where we can acquire truth. In the world of becoming, we only acquire appearances of what is the truth, but we have to die and go to the transcendental realm to find propositional knowledge, so he claimed. So during the Renaissance period, Thomas Hobbes, he defended materialism as the truth or reality, because what I'm experiencing are material objects, are the material world. This phone that is videotaping me, that is recording me, is material. In the history of the philosophical search for truth, truth has been in places in a sphere outside the attainability of persons as a thing to be observed, to be realized, or to be known. Truth is a fixed quality. Whatever regarded as truth would stand throughout time or existence or subjective realization. In addressing this so-called problem with truth, the pragmatic theory of truth was developed. William James, who was a famous pragmatist, stated that, basically, before I even dip into William James, pragmatism states that anything is true once it is useful to you, because in order for us to survive, we need to make use of our knowledge. Our knowledge has to be useful in order for us to survive. So pragmatism falls under the continental divide, not the analytic divide, because pragmatism stated the validity of metaphysics, morality, and ethics alongside empiricism and rationalism. Once you get useful knowledge from any of those doctrines, then therefore it is true. The positivists, however, believe that beliefs and justifications is where you can discover truth, which is true, because the traditional Western point of view states that truth is justified through belief. It was meant to be a method of distinguishing subjective psychological states, leading to theory and discovery of scientists, and strict logical arguments and observational techniques used to verify theories. That falls under the analytic tradition as well. The logical positivists and the logical analysis linguistic philosophy stated that use the criteria of verification, and stated that truth only comes from justified true belief from empiricism and rationalism. That's what makes statements, or that's what made reality meaningful. They ask, can a statement be justified? If so, how? Is it testable? Is it logically dependable on other statements? They use their methodological approach in finding truth. They believed philosophy was a science. They believed that science was the only way to find truth. In the context of knowledge production, there are two contexts: context of investigation, the subjective world of the investigation, and context of explanation, the subject of study. However, prior, Hegel argued that truth is not the appearance of things not found through empirical observation, but through the self-conscious mind. Thought as an expression of an experience of the infinite whole. What is true, real, is that of the conscious mind. The world is a reflection of consciousness. It raises a fundamental question relevant to both metaphysics and epistemology. What is consciousness, and what's basically consciousness is about? So I'm going to give you some non-traditional Western views on reality and consciousness, like from a Buddhist point of view. And Vasubandhu stated that there are three types of modification to consciousness. There's the experience of implicit ideas, feelings, sensations, perceptions, thinking in terms of ideas, repository, inherited, and perceptual cognition of objects. Heidegger states that metaphysics is really an inquiry into the nature of our own self, our own being, our own existence, which is assumed is mental. So he was for consciousness, him and Hegel. And I think the Indian philosophers believe that we are our spiritual, physical, and conscious self. We are reality. So there is a paradoxical conclusion, the object-subject dilemma. In the process of examining consciousness, the object of examination, which is consciousness, becomes the subject, consciousness, because you are examining your own consciousness. Are they one and the same? So it says that it is through an intuitive knowing that the claim to personal existence is made. Berkeley's theory of perception, ideas of objects held in the mind are mental states. However, George Berkeley was a subjective idealist. He believed that if you were once something is not being perceived, it does not exist. But that is not true, because reality existed before I was conceived. And in conclusion, when one looks to find meaning in the world, when one searches and finds a source of existence, the search will always result in a 360-degree angle turn, stopping at the very point of origin, one's own self. So this course was a very interesting course. I learned a lot, and by the end of the day, from what I learned from this whole course, is that knowledge, we can never find propositional knowledge. And I am back at point A before I started the course. What is knowledge?